Just when you think The Last of Us 2 hasn't got anything left to give, you get another video game journalist come out with some more hot poo, and that's what Patricia Hernandez has done on Polygon with an article that reads, "The Last of Us Part 2 proves gaming doesn't know how to deal with muscular women." And it's just, oh my god, here we go again. While AAA video games have recently started incorporating more female protagonists for the most part, these characters fit a specific build. Leading ladies are often svelte and thin. While they may also be capable of serious feats of strength, their features are often delicate. The idea seems to be to make these protagonists desirable to straight men, even as those characters kick dudes' asses. Well, you know, the demographic is usually straight men as far as I'm aware, but okay, let's just pretend it's not. Even then, I don't play female characters to be turned on or something. I have a girlfriend for that. I think most sane people will be turned on by a real woman rather than an animated one, but you know, maybe I am the one that's talking crazy there. Abby, a new character introduced in The Last of Us Part 2, does not fit the mold. Her face is anchored by a square jaw, which gives her visage a wider look, at least compared to the heart-shaped face that defines most women in games. Perhaps most notably, Abby is buff. Your eyes are drawn to her chest and muscular arms, which according to Last of Us Part 2, she worked very hard across multiple years to beef up. I don't remember them referencing it in Last of Us 2, to be honest with you. I remember them showing a gym, but anyway, okay. She looks like Brock Lesnar with long hair. But even then, I don't actually give a shit about what she looks like. I don't care that she's buff. Outside of the jokes and memes, I don't think anyone really gives a damn. The character can look however they want. I don't have a problem with Naughty Dog design a character however they want. That's not the issue here. It's funny for them to call it realistic though. Let's just face facts. It is funny. But I don't take issue with that, and I don't think outside of jokes and memes, many sane people do either. Like, people are not going to be bothered over that. It's not realistic because she's in a zombie apocalypse. Women can look like that after years of extreme training and the right protein intake or the right foods or whatever. Like, she doesn't look realistic for a zombie apocalypse, I'm sorry. As someone who regularly boxes and plays sports, Abby's appearance isn't just familiar to me, it's aspirational. It's been baffling to see some of the popular dissenting opinion on the game which often directed against Abby. Well, I mean, the thing is that I regularly train as well, and I've trained around women before, and I've never seen someone that looks like Abby before. Not even Chris Cyborg or Amanda Nunes, who are in the UFC and Bellator, look anything like her. I understand if you want to aspire to be like that, there's no problems with that, you can aspire to be like that, but let's not pretend that women look like that. Let's not pretend that women walk around looking like that on a day-to-day basis. They don't. And even the ones that do, they train day in and day out, and they get a high amount of food in their stomachs. I don't think that's the case in a zombie apocalypse. How could it be? Part of the dislike seems unavoidable. The Last of Us Part 2 asks you to play as a character who fundamentally opposed to the heroes we spent hours learning to love and protect. Abby is a hard sell, and that would be true no matter what she looked like. No, it's not. The wider dislike around Abby is because she's a piece of garbage, and you're forced to play as that piece of garbage for 10 hours with no comeuppance. I swear these journalists actually just can't read the room. They literally make these articles to just get clicks. They make no sense. That, or they see the world through a lens of lies, like it's just straight up lies, and they've learned how to monetize it. Either way, it is just a lie. If you think the normal for women is having that kind of muscular and stature, just go outside, man. One misguided viral Twitter post reads, "Posts that feature Abby at all often break down into arguments as to whether or not she's realistic and whether or not a woman could actually look like that. The funny thing is, like many characters in The Last of Us Part 2, Abby is partially based on a real person." And then it says, "Bigoted male gamers. Abby is unrealistic. Women can never look like that. May I present to you Colleen Foch, who Abby's body was based on." Yeah, but the point of that tweet is to say that normally women, let alone men, don't look like that. They don't walk around looking like that. Now, as I said, if you want to make someone look like that, that's fine. That's your fiction. Make whoever you want, but let's not pretend like it's the norm. It's just not. That woman this journalist is comparing Abby to is qualified for the Olympic trials, a 2-time national swimming champion. Amongst other things, she is not a normal woman. Abby is a girl surviving in the apocalypse. It's wildly separate circumstances. This, of course, doesn't satisfy some detractors. It just changes the debate. Is there enough food for someone in the post-apocalypse to mess up like that? Yes, the WLF is canonically depicted to have plenty of resources. Can we really say this is a realistic body type if theoretically you have to train for ages to achieve it? Realism has no bearing on how common something is, just whether or not it can be true. Look, I am sure there are anomalies out there that can build muscle like this without as much protein intake or whatever than others. I'm sure there's a woman out there that is capable of it, since I personally know men that are. It's just incredibly unlikely, but let's just say that Abby is that person. This wouldn't change the fact that she's trash. would it? It wouldn't help the story. That's mostly why people hate Abby, because she's a rubbish character. But let's just pretend it's solely because she looks like she broke the Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania. Perhaps the grossest result of all of this is the insistence that Abby could only look like this if her character was trans, as if only folks who are assigned male at birth could possibly have big muscles. That conspiracy theory has been debunked by the folks behind the game, but the fact the idea could exist at all reveals something uncomfortable about what limited types of bodies we are used to seeing in the medium. I swear, I actually don't know how these people are able to talk this much shit, honestly. At first glance you would think that. In an apocalypse, seeing a woman that size, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that people are going to think that, but once you know what the truth is, no one's saying anything. No one said anything since we've known what Abby is. Everyone left it alone and just focused on how garbage the story was, because it is garbage. But let's just pretend like people are not doing it. Let's just make stuff up. Abby doesn't look like most women in games, it's true, but Abby's appearance is only potentially jarring because video games lack range when it comes to body diversity, not because women can't actually look like that. We can and we do, and I'm glad Abby is here to prove it. There are women that look like that. But most strong fit women don't. It's usually outliers. That much is an objective truth whether you want to believe it or not, but again, that ain't the main problem with the game. It ain't even a problem, it's just good for memes. The main problem is that the game sucks from a narrative standpoint. It failed, and that's why the game is being returned in droves. Literally 80% of the game's sales are down, and it's showing up on all different websites for resale. Some stores have actually refused to take the game back as well. Now I don't know if that is because what's going on in the world right now and health concerns, or if it's because the game is being returned in such large amounts that they don't actually want to accept it back. But it has been showing up on a lot of websites for resale, that much is true. Most Japanese players don't seem to like it very much. I saw some Asian streamers cutting the game up, throwing it in the bin, and I even saw one setting it on fire. Now whilst that may be an extreme example, it's very clear that people don't like the game, and I no longer think this is a game split down the middle. I do think majority of people don't like the game. The story is just not that good, which brings us to our other story of the day. Remember when developers were saying that it's ridiculous to suggest that they would pay off reviewers? Do you remember when they were saying that developers just don't do that sort of stuff? Well, why in the hell would Sony contact reviewers on behalf of Naughty Dog to contest how a reviewer has spoken about the game? The vibe around the game hasn't gotten much better since then. On June 12th, Vice published its review of The Last of Us Part 2, which conceded that while the game had memorable moments that made for great spectacle, reviewer Rob Zacny was less taken with the story and characters. Nobody ever reconsiders their quest for vengeance, Zacny wrote. Everyone acts under a kind of vindictive and compulsion that goes little remarked and unexamined. Zacny went on to describe that the game's message as complacent, full of oppressive bleakness and violence. While the vast majority of reviewers have lavished The Last of Us Part 2 with all sorts of praise, a handful of outlets, Polygon included, have been slightly more critical of the blockbuster game. According to Zacny, Vice's review prompted a Sony representative to reach out on behalf of Naughty Dog. They felt some of the conclusions I reached in my review were unfair and dismissed some meaningful changes or improvements, Zacny told Polygon over Twitter messages. Zacny clarifies that the exchange wasn't confrontational, but that it was nonetheless unusual, as the site doesn't typically have big publishers asking in an official capacity why a review reads in the way it does. Such things can happen, of course, though often with smaller developers or from publishers who have spotted a factual error in a piece that they want corrected. I was happy to unpack a bit of my reasoning, however, and received a perfectly cordial message in response, Zacny said. Naughty Dog's PR team declined to comment on Polygon's inquiry about its exchange with Vice. Why the hell would a massive company like Sony contact a reviewer to contest a review? That makes no sense to me whatever. So people can't have opinions on the garbage you put out. Is that what it is? Like, I don't ever expect to get a review copy from Sony or anyone else because I keep it 100% facts on this page, or at least I tell you how I really feel about something. I think The Last of Us Part 2 bombed massively, but I'm also thinking that the Ghost of Tsushima is going to be one of the best PS4 exclusives out there, and I can't wait to play it. You can't always have it both ways. That's just how things go sometimes. If you make something people think is trashy, deal with it. Deal with it and move on. Make something we actually want to play next time. Make a story we want to sit through. Do you not want to hear how people really feel about your product? Like, I don't understand that mentality. Learn from your mistakes, and as for you gaming journalists, and again, it pains me to even call you that because you're not really. Do some research before you write crap like that article that I spoke about earlier. Well, there's not really too much more to talk about when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2. This is a horse that has been beaten half to death, and to be honest with you, even with all the journalists just writing absolute garbage at this point, there's not really too much to say. I've reviewed the game, we've covered the stupid points that journalists put out. We've covered this game from every single angle, so unless something groundbreaking comes out about the game, I'm probably not going to cover it anymore. I feel like it's just done. There's no DLC for the game, there's no online mode, there's nothing beyond what we got in the game. That's pretty much it. So this is pretty much just a disclaimer that There might be Last of Us Part 2 videos to come after this, maybe if an interesting discussion comes up, maybe if new information comes to light. But for the most part, just letting you guys know, I think I'm done with this game. I'm kind of even sick of talking about it. It's a huge disappointment, a massive waste of money. I kind of bought it just to be fair and impartial, I guess, and because I spoke about it so much on this channel, I thought it'd only be fair that I cover it. But it's pretty much done now. But what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.